The following program contains the opinions of the host, guests, and call-in participants. These do not necessarily represent the views of this show's distributors or sponsors. This program may contain obscene, profane, or otherwise objectionable language. Viewer discretion is advised. My God, it feels so good. Coming to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota, everybody, and coming to you cordless. It's Wednesday night, August 20th, 2025. I am Jim Peters. Welcome to another edition of Jim Peters Tonight. If you're keeping score at home, and you should because there'll be a test, this is show number 267. And who's our guest tonight? Our old friend, Bigfoot investigator and bail bondsman extraordinaire, Larry Newman's joining us. So looking forward to talking to him. Now, this is our last show before the Labor Day break. We're taking a week off. Actually, it's going to be a week and a half. It's actually 12 days nonstop. We're coming back, and I'm gonna read this to you. We're already booking guests for September. And our guests on Tuesday, September 2nd, when we return, are Jerry Nadler, and he's written two books called Tiny Blunders and Big Disasters, and they're really fascinating. They're books about history, about people who made small mistakes that ended up blowing up into catastrophic stuff. It's really cool. I bought one of these books even before I knew who this guy was, or even before I just bought it for my own entertainment value. He has a second volume out now, too. We're going to talk to him. Second volume, I think, came out this month, if I'm right. And also on that show, Scott Walter. And he's written a book called Arabella, the Dark Money Network of Leftist Billionaires Secretly Transforming America. And that's referring to Arabella Advisors, which is one of these NGO, small, obscure organizations that apparently is like when people talk about the globalist elite, this is what they're talking about. And that's what he wrote about. And of course, and I've talked about this previously, starting in September, most of our shows, we will have two guests instead of one. So I will be going crazy. And why not? It's like, I got a birthday coming up about a month. Might as well be nuts, So anyway, yeah. So we're taking a week off. I happen to have lunch with an old friend of mine today in Wayzata, Minnesota. If you're familiar with the Twin Cities area, Wayzata is west of downtown Minneapolis, and it's basically a little resort town on Lake Minnetonka, which of course made famous by Prince. But Lake Minnetonka is, I think, in the land of 10,000 lakes, and actually 15,000. I think it's the second largest lake in the state of Minnesota, and we eat at the Cove there, and it's beautiful. I gotta admit, my friend has good taste, man. We had a good time. It's like I'm getting out. It's good, probably good that I'm getting out. And speaking of getting out, I tell you what, I'm gonna play a 12-second bumper, and we're gonna put Larry Newman on. How's that sound? Here goes. Joining us from his home in Joplin, Missouri, it's Larry Newman. He's the man. And I forgot to mention, Larry, in my intro that the phone lines are open. If you want to talk to Larry or you have a question, a ticker on the bottom of the screen there, the number's 325-225-5546 or 325-CALL-JIM. I got that, Larry. Isn't that pretty cool?
There you go.
Yeah. I know. How are you?
Good job.
Hey, I got to read you something. I got a text today. So normally, Larry, I put up the show descriptions and the billboards around 2-3 o'clock Eastern time every day for the show. But because of these last three shows here, I knew who was coming on. I put them up like a day ahead of time. So this was from this morning. I got this from a viewer. Said news is that Larry Newman was eaten by a Sasquatch this afternoon. And all of the Sasquatch community is now devastated because we wanted to eat Larry ourselves.
Okay.
I thought you'd enjoy that.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, so things are happening. I don't have to tell you, you know that.
Oh, I know it.
You
It's
got it
wild and
going on.
crazy in Washington D.C.
Yeah, so, this is, I mean, we know this, but this is still now being confirmed by numbers about the fact that this got lost on the news even before the election last year. Around last summer, for the first time ever, there are more registered Republicans in the United States than Democrats for the first time ever measured. I mean, the measuring goes back about 35 years. But
Yeah.
yeah, now there are companies looking at the numbers of registered voters for the 2030 census, and the the Democratic Party is losing people on a monthly basis. I mean, they're saying at this point it's so many that they're not going to be able to recover from this. And the prediction right now, according to these trends, is that for the 2030 census, California and New York will each likely lose 4 House seats. Not even transferred; they will lose them because people are moving out. You know,
Yes.
they can't. This is not good. I could say it's not good for them, but I guess it's probably good for us, huh?
Well, yes, it's good for the country. And the one cautionary thing I would say is when you look at trends, long range trends, one thing that I can guarantee you about a long range forecast is that it will change. So it looks great, and we want it to look great. That's fine. And as long as the Democrats are still being, as JD Vance said today, as long as they're still saying crazy stuff and stupid stuff, then they're not going to be able to go anywhere.
Larry, honest to God, do they know at this point how not to say crazy and stupid stuff?
No, they
No, they
they
don't.
don't. They don't. And you know, and, you feel sorry for them almost. Um, but it look at it like a game, okay? And Trump has taken the ball and has closed the gap around their defense to the point to where they cannot break through the wall.
Yeah,
Nothing they can do because he has taken not only the Republican stand on things, he's taken the centrist stand on things and has left the Democrats with only the stupid, crazy stuff to fight for.
yeah.
That's
Well,
all they got left.
they hate him so much that it's
Well,
like
yeah,
they would rather be pro crime than help Trump out.
one man has outsmarted the entire bunch.
Yeah, yeah, it's really true. And not only that, even with trolling, I mean, he's it's pretty obvious now he's been setting this stuff up. So if they're going to be against him, they have to be against positive stuff, which is like absurd. But they fall for it.
They are left with the 20% of the 80-20 issues. And all of the issues now have become 80-20 issues.
Yeah.
They're left on the 20% side and with no what there's no way to break out of that.
No,
If
there
they
is.
if they change what they're saying to break out of that 20%, they're going to be Republicans.
Right.
So they'll have to register as Republicans.
And the other thing too, I mean, this is becoming more stark all the time. The left-wing media press is so catering to the crazy extreme left wing because they know those are the people that are reading and watching. So and they know they have them. So it's like, I mean, at this point, I think MSNBC is they're basically, MS Now, whatever the hell they changed their name to. They're basically catering to these people. They're literally saying crazy shit on purpose just to keep these people entertained and watching. Because
So I don't care what you call yourself. If you're still saying the same crazy stuff, it doesn't matter what label you put on your
yeah,
forehead.
right. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If they stopped saying crazy stuff, then they've lost this small cadre of people they have who watch all the time, and they don't necessarily gain anything else. So
Well,
they're actually they're in a rock and a hard place too.
yeah, and this is the thing. The delusion of the left is that they think that there is a large group of people that think the way they do out there, and
Yes.
there's
Right.
not.
No, that's right.
And
That's been the
but they think that there is, and they want to get them back, and they're desperately searching for something. But all they got left is crazy. So
yeah.
there's nothing left for them.
That even happened with the election. They have totally overestimated the number of people who are with them on all this stuff. And I don't understand. I truly don't understand how they cannot see it. I had people. I predict. I had Mark Tapscott on. Other people who we predict the election almost perfectly. And they simply couldn't. They actually thought they were going to win.
Okay. Let's take one of the most ridiculous, crazy events that has happened in the last 2 years is that the Democratic Party, who has spent the last 30 to 40 years gerrymandering every House of Representatives seat in the nation, decided to walk out of Texas so that Texas couldn't reapportion correctly the congressional seats.
Yeah.
And they looked totally stupid.
Yes, they did.
When they're the ones that have been doing this for 30 years, and they're going to complain because the Republicans are going to do it. No, they make themselves look so stupid.
You think there's a possibility here that's what's going on is they're so used to winning that now that they're not winning, they can't wrap their minds around it?
Well, I think they're so used to having control and controlling the media and controlling the narrative. Yeah, they're losing their mind. The problem is the centrist Democrats are all sitting back there shaking their heads like they're watching a bunch of 2-year-olds just pile up all over themselves.
Yeah.
And, the centrist left wing of the Democratic Party, let's say the normal headed Democratic Party, what few of those there are, but they're sitting watching these crazy people like a bunch of clowns out there, and they're just sitting back with their arms folded, shaking their head, going, this is never going to fix anything.
Yeah, but they won't do anything about it either.
What can they do? There's so few of them left. All of the center, all of the independents, which there's not that many left, but they've all gone to the Republican side.
Yes.
Because Trump, if you look at, it's like he has thrown his arms wide open to the citizens of this country, and they have all flocked to him except for the lunatic fringe, which is the left-leaning Democratic Party.
Yeah.
But if you want a visual, that's what it would be. Trump has opened the Republican Party up to embrace everyone in the country.
And common sense. So then
exactly.
So now the people on the left have to be against common sense.
Exactly. And that makes them look so terrible.
Yeah.
Well, they demeaned Trump, from 2000 to 2000 or from 2020 to 24, and run him down, made him look bad, and they got so crazy that the country said, "Oh, these people are a bunch of idiots. We do not want them back."
Right.
And that's where we're at now. Well, now he's in 6 months later. He's ended 6 wars, working on number 7, turned the economy around, has got investment coming back into this country. Done. I mean, on a daily basis. I don't know how the man does it. I'm 71 and I can't keep up with him.
I know. I couldn't either. I couldn't do it either. And he's got 3.5 years to go. And it's all happened in 6 months. That's the amazing thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, Bob Hogue over at Red State, a guy I wanted to have on the show. I've had people on Red State on, but not him. I want to have. He's a really interesting writer. He wrote a column today about the fact that he says, and I'll just read this from him: the Democratic Party has used guilt as an incredibly effective weapon for generations, and it's only with the advent of Donald Trump that we are seeing all sorts of people saying, "I'm not falling for this anymore." And I thought that was really, really interesting. Their entire shtick is basically based on guilt, you know. And yeah, so then if less people fall for it, they have less people in the tent.
Every day I run into people who were adamantly against Donald Trump. Okay, and now they will tell me, well, I still don't like him, but what he's doing is absolutely the right thing. Okay, that's fine. I don't care whether you like the man or not. You know, character depends on your actions, and he's showing the actions of a person that is of good character.
That's going on in Washington D.C. too. Not like the last survey I saw, 91% of the citizens in Washington D.C. are for this criminal crackdown. 91%.
Exactly.
And most of them are Democrats. I mean, that's what it's like. It's maybe the single most Democrat city in America. You know, but nope,
90% of the residents there are for what Trump is doing.
Yeah.
So who are these idiots that are up there jumping up and down, screaming and hollering that this is terrible?
Well, the other thing is that they're still being overly represented in the press. The press hates Donald Trump for whatever reason. And, you know, I mean, I think people are going to write books about that years and years from now. Why the press is like, they cannot wrap their mind around this guy in any positive manner. None.
I know. Well, let me tell you something from the viewpoint of a former law enforcement officer. Okay. When the prosecutor and the judges will not prosecute or put people in jail for committing a crime, law enforcement throws up their hands and says, what are we, why are we doing this?
Right.
And so therefore a lot of crimes in the middle don't even get reported. They still happen. They're still happening.
Yeah.
But they don't get reported because the police officers say, why should I waste my time making a report and send this to the prosecutor?
Right.
He's not even going to file it. Okay.
Right.
So that means that the numbers come down of reported crimes because the cops aren't reporting them. Has nothing to do with whether crime's actually coming down. So now you have crime statistics showing, some people are showing, saying, let's look at this, that crime is down in Washington, D.C., and 91% of the residents are saying, well, y'all are crazy because it's not coming down.
Right. That's right. It doesn't matter what the numbers say.
That's why. That's what happens. Even here in the center of the country, I've seen that.
I got to ask you, I've never asked you this before. Did you ever work with, actually know some of these liberal judges? Because I literally can't understand where they're coming from. I don't understand what's going on in their heads.
The judges in my part of the country are conservative judges. This is how the criminal justice system works. The local judge gets the case. The local judge wants to throw the book at these people and send them away for committing serious crimes. But the rules for the local judges are orchestrated by the state Supreme Court judges. They set up the rules by which the local judges have to follow. In Missouri, we have what's called the Missouri Plan, and everybody thought this was great. The Supreme Court judges in Missouri are selected by the Missouri Bar Association.
Oh, yeah, right. That's right.
Okay, and sent to the governor. If it's a crappy nominee, the governor can send it back. But then the governor throws up his hand and says, they're just going to send me one that's worse.
Right.
So we have 9 justices in the state of Missouri, and they're all flaming left-wing liberals.
And then correct me if I'm wrong, Missouri is not the only state that does this, right?
Indiana
Right.
Indiana did it. They're already trying to change it back to the way it used to be.
Yeah.
Okay, because it was touted as a great thing. Well, it's not. It's terrible. But that's where when in a state in state of Missouri where 75% of the legislators are Republican, and every one of the elected state officials are Republicans, we have a left wing Democratic fanatic Supreme Court making the rules for the local judges. And the local judges have told me, Larry, I can't. These are the rules that we're told we have to follow. If I don't like it, then I lose my pension. I get disbarred. I get thrown off the
And
bench.
you're probably going to get overturned anyway. So,
Yeah,
right.
and so
Good point.
and so they don't have a choice, and they don't like that, you know,
Yeah.
because a child molester that's proven and admitted child molester needs to go to prison, but
Right.
they can't even do that.
Yeah. See, that's the
Give
thing.
him probation and put him back out on the street.
Yeah. I
That's the
understand.
rules now.
Okay, this white collar crime, fine. But yeah, people, child molesters, serial murderers, so these people literally, some of them are just being let out. It's unbelievable.
Exactly. Exactly. But the George Soros organizations have infiltrated the judges organizations. Judges have meetings regionally, nationally. They have continuing education, just like every other professional license. And the Soros organization has infiltrated those meetings and trainings to the point to where they are indoctrinating left-wing judges that might have been middle of the road or slightly conservative are now being bombarded with this training at regional and national training seminars into this left-wing liberal mindset.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
So,
But
I had a woman on here named Rachel Ehrenfeld, and she wrote a book about George Soros. And I don't know if you caught this on September 2nd, Tuesday, when I'm coming back. I'm having a guy on named Scott Walter who's written another book about. It's not so much about George Soros as some of the organizations he runs. I've never actually asked you this before, Larry, and this is not a rhetorical question. Why is Soros doing this shit? You got a guy who made his fortune, billions of dollars in a capitalist enterprise, and yet he basically is trying to take down capitalism. And it makes no sense to me. I do not understand what's going through his head. I don't understand why he would do this shit.
well, look back at the mechanics of what George Soros has done over his life. He has made his millions by breaking up countries, European countries, Eastern European countries. He will go in there, create unrest, make his investments, create unrest, create civil disobedience, and the markets respond to that to his benefit. That's where he's made all his millions,
Yeah.
billion.
All right. That's a good
That's
point.
that's where it is. I mean, and so he's
Right. He's
decided
profiting,
that he's going to try it here.
he's profiting from the unrest, in other words, what you're saying.
Correct.
Literally profiting. Right.
Right. And the thing about it is some of the news media are finally admitting the fact that these anti-government protests that are going on all across the country, these people are paid.
Yeah.
They go
Right.
from town to town. They get paid
Right.
by Soros organization to show up and protest and throw bricks that are left on a pallet underneath the bridge for the purpose of civil unrest.
Well, also the purpose in those specific protests is to give the impression to the American public that there's more people that are supporting this issue than actually are. I mean, that's at
Right.
this point, this has become the whole point of protesting in America. You're trying to create the impression through visual images that there's more, more people don't think the way I do. Well, that's not really true because, like you said, they're literally getting paid to do it. They're actors,
Correct.
crazy.
You can take 20 people out on the street and you can record that digitally in such a way as to make it look like that there's a large crowd,
Right.
and that's what they depend on. They it's like making a movie. Okay,
Yeah.
make
Exactly.
they make those videos to look like there's a large crowd when there's a dozen people there, and
We
those dozen people are all paid. They're paid actors.
and we are very quickly approaching the point in America where there's virtually no visual imagery is believable anymore. I mean, it's like at this point
Correct.
you can fake anything. It's like the same thing. I talk about the UFO issue, and people say, "Where's the proof?" Well, if you took a picture of a gray alien coming out of a spaceship and you actually took it and it was real, nobody would believe it. Everyone just assume it's an AI dummy. It's the same with
Well, and I I am not a fan of AI. I see too much that can go wrong with AI,
yeah,
and
right.
I think we've already starting to hear about and see
Yeah.
AI causing all kinds of problems.
Yeah.
And there is no such thing as artificial intelligence because everything that computer spits out has to be put in there by someone somewhere. Artificial intelligence, what they're calling artificial intelligence, is only a larger scan of information that are put into computers all across the world. That's how that works.
Yeah.
So then the computer goes through all of it, and they take the sites and the originations that are most uh, believable or most
Plausible.
plausible, and that's what they spit out as being AI. And it's still, everything is still what somebody has typed in and entered into a computer somewhere and got on the web.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no artificial intelligence to it. It's a regurgitation.
Well, I'm not gonna argue real fine points with you. I have a lot of people on the show come on here and talk about this, about the fact that uh that technically, because the AI can actually filter through the information quickly and make some decisions about it, that technically it's intelligent. But you're basically right about the gist of the fact that it's basically just regurgitating everything that's ever been posted on the web ever, you know.
Well, I guess we need to debate the definition of
Well,
intelligence.
that's the thing. No, you're absolutely right. It actually comes down to the definition of these terms. Like I have a lot of people who come on here that say that will say that, well, okay, the AI is technically intelligent, but it can't think. so, so it depends on how you define these terms. You're absolutely right.
I'm
You
only
know,
going to spit out what somebody put into it.
yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, this is really interesting. This kind of fall through the cracks of the news. And speaking about those liberal judges, I found this kind of fascinating. The fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals on Tuesday ruled that the entire structure of the National Labor Relations Board is most likely unconstitutional, and so they have temporarily blocked everything they want to do because they said this thing is set up completely wrong. And apparently, the problem is that, like you were talking about the judges in this case, the the bar associations, they they appoint a committee to appoint the judges, but that no one the even the committee that does the appointing is off limits, so the president can't do anything. I mean, technically, these people work for the executive branch, but they actually don't because the president can't fire any of them. And the U.S. Circuit Court has said that basically this whole thing has to be looked at because it probably is illegal from the get go.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's probably right. Government doesn't operate like in with any kind of resemblance of common sense. You have,
Well,
seriously.
I
I
know.
mean, you
Yeah,
look at it. You've got. It's like a bunch of auto mechanics trying to make up the rules for how you need to do brain surgery. Okay,
yeah,
you've got insurance salesmen and attorneys sitting up there, and they're trying to make laws affecting all kinds of industries that they have absolutely no knowledge of how it works, what it's like, what it does, anything. Let's and I know that personally because I'm talking about the bail bond industry.
Yeah.
Anybody outside the industry, and I'm talking judges and attorneys and law enforcement that I deal with every day, do not understand how this works. The Constitution of the state of Missouri says all persons shall be bailable by sufficient surety, which is what I am. So they're up there trying to make rules to oversee the bail industry when they have absolutely no idea how it works and refuse to ask those people that do know how it works how things should be set up.
All right. And
It's ludicrous to look
I'm
at that.
sitting
And that's just from my point of view. But now let's expand that to every industry
everything.
in the
That's
country.
right. That's right. Right.
It's ridiculous.
And all I can think of is that people do this just because they want to control other people.
That's exactly right.
It has
It's
nothing
power.
to do with anything else.
It's
There's a
power.
company here, a very large company named Graco here in Northeast Minneapolis, and they have very close to our studio here. They have a very large factory, and they've been here in Hennepin County, the city of Minneapolis. They've been here for well over 100 years. They're bolting. They're going to a small town in western Minnesota and they won't say this publicly, but I know enough people that work there. I've heard the scuttle, and even the press has propagated this. The fact that they're done with dealing with the Minneapolis City Council. They don't want to deal with it anymore. They gave the city of Minneapolis a large plot of land right next to their factory to use as a park, and it is being set up as a park. And the Minneapolis City Council has named it Graco Park after the company. But but apparently, even just that act of doing that was such a pain in the ass for them. They don't want to do. They've been here 100 years and they're leaving. It's terrible. They can't deal with shit anymore. You know.
Well, look at your leading candidate for mayor.
Oh
I
God.
mean, and then now again, let's go to New York. I would say that if you took an honest opinion, that 75 to 90% of the people in New York City would be all for getting rid of the criminals, getting them out of town,
Right.
doing what Trump's doing in D.C. Okay, but you've got then they're looking at electing a mayor who is a pure communist based on his proposals, not what he calls himself or what people call him, but based on what he is proposing, he is a pure communist.
Yes, he is. No, no.
Okay?
That and
And
people who say that,
Minneapolis is the same way.
right.
Why do
Right.
such a small percentage of the population elect these idiots?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, especially I'm going by a projection here in Minneapolis, but it's well known in New York City. The fervent supporters that Mandami has are basically all young, single female women or females. I guess that's an
With lots of money?
well, yeah, that's the thing. So I had a Sal Litvak, a movie producer, on last night, and he had a really interesting observation here. I thought this was really interesting. He said, you look at historically, wisdom in the world has been vertically oriented. People have always basically referred to the elders as for wisdom and guidance. But he said, for the first time ever, we have a generation that looks horizontally because of social media. They don't listen to their elders, they listen to each other, and they're all crazy. So because of that, it becomes a giant. And I thought, well, that's a really interesting way to look at this. But Mamdani in New York City, his support is almost entirely single females, and they're fervently for him. They think all this socialist stuff is fantastic. So you have a small voting block that's extremely energized, and that's what drives this thing. I'm assuming the same thing's happening here in Minneapolis too.
Well, let's take a look at something that hit the news today. these states that are uh, uh, banning cell phones from the school,
Uh-huh.
okay, from classrooms. They are already finding out that these kids are paying attention more. They're taking more notes. They're not distracted. They are learning more already just in a few weeks that schools have started in these places.
Yeah.
Okay. So that you're talking about people looking laterally because of the social media platforms. That's a, that's causing a lot of problems.
It is.
And it's a major problem.
Yeah,
But
yeah, go ahead.
it
Sorry.
I think it's a wonderful thing that they got rid of these cell phones in the classrooms. It's wonderful thing.
I've been saying for a long time, I think on balance, social media has done more harm than good. I mean, there is some positive aspects for it, but I think people are gonna, I also think that this is going to be a generational thing. I think 25 to 30 years from now, it's like disco, it'll never go away, but I think it will start losing its prominence. It's relatively novel right now. And I think that's the reason
I
people
think you're right. I think
pay
you're
so
right.
much attention to it. But it is really, it is basically devastating a whole generation of kids. It really
Mhm.
is. And you're right. It's not just the fact that, and this has been my problem with the whole thing about the grooming of college kids, socialist grooming in college. That is, it's not just the fact that your professor's getting up and ranting and raving about communism. It's the fact that every minute he does that, you're not learning math. You know, it's like it's an either
Exactly.
it's a zero sum game. It's an either or. You know, and most things are in life aren't like that, but this is one of them that is.
Well, Mondami got on today and he said, I'm not a communist. I'm a democratic socialist.
No, that's bullshit.
But, well, okay, there is no difference. They are the same thing,
Well, it comes like
but
once
it
again,
sounds
like
better.
the AI stuff, it comes down to definitions. But he has actually said, he said straight out, our ultimate goal is to seize the means of production, and that's communism. That's the
Correct.
actual definition of communism. He has said this. So he's a communist. No, there's no getting around it.
And where
You
did he
know,
find that? Where did he learn that? In
Marx.
college.
Yeah, in college. That's right.
College. That's what
Well,
it's
he doesn't
taught.
know anything else. He's literally never had a job. I mean,
Exactly.
somebody who has no experience doing anything running the largest city in the world. I mean, it's crazy. You know, it's
Yeah.
absolutely nuts.
Yeah. It's going to be totally out to lunch.
So we were talking about this before we went on the air here about the fact that you know, I that here our little show, we've had problems on YouTube because I keep talking about the fact that I don't believe in climate change, you know, and the social
Right.
justice warriors over there, they don't like that. They keep flagging me. So Trump came out again today against wind power, you know, and he doesn't like solar either. I'm okay with the solar. I'm not, you know, I don't think it's the best thing, but I don't think the solar is necessarily bad, but the wind power is complete bullshit. It's total crap. It really is.
Well, let's deal with solar first. Okay, solar panels work 8 hours a day if it's not cloudy until they break down, and then you have to throw them away and put new ones up. So you're not generating that much electricity. Um, you've got landfills filling up with broken panels
Yeah.
because they can't be redone. Um, so, and I know I got a quote this summer or last summer, I'm sorry, on my house. The entire south facing part of the roof on my house um, is about 18 by 60. And so I got a quote on putting uh, the solar panels on the roof. That would work because
Yeah.
they're on the right side of the house. Okay.
Right.
So with the cost and everything else, and then I find out that at their peak, they're only going to generate about a third of the electricity that I would use for my residence, which is not that high.
No, it
So
is.
they don't generate enough power. What I found out is they don't generate enough power to make a difference. So you start investigating these things. Okay, so now let's go to the wind power. All right, the carbon footprint that it takes to get a wind generator in the air, and the oil, semi-load of oil that has to run in that thing that leaks and has to be changed out. A windmill will never replace the carbon footprint that it's supposed to replace in
Right.
its lifetime. Now let's take a look at Germany. Germany has run out of landfill space because when those blades break down, you can't. There's nothing you can do with them, and
Yeah.
so they have to go into landfills.
And
Germany run out of places for
I
them.
don't think people realize how big those blades are, too.
You know,
I mean, they're
I,
huge.
right? They are. They're 75 to 80 feet long each.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, but the fact is that the carbon, the oil that is used to make them, that fuels the trucks, that pours the concrete for the base of those things, to get them in the air, they will never in their lifetime replace the carbon footprint with wind energy. So
Yeah.
they're a minus sum game before they get off the drawing board.
Right. And that's where I make the difference. The solar panels may not be contributing much, but and yes, there is some negativity to using them because they use rare earth elements and all that sort of stuff. But the windmills are a huge negative even before anything happens. And then on
Correct.
top of that, and I don't think this is a minor thing, they kill millions of birds every year. And people are talking about, oh, the environment, got to save the whales, all this other stuff. What about saving those goddamn birds? I mean, it's unbelievable. Millions of them. And
True.
bald eagles, you know, I mean, I live in bald eagle country here. We have bald eagles all over the place. You know, I don't want to see some bald eagle get ratcheted by some goddamn windmill. I mean, Christ. And on top of that, and this is not a minor thing either, too, Larry, they're ugly. They're just plain fucking ugly.
Yes, they are.
It's like that too. It's like we don't need ugly shit in our cities. We don't need this stuff. I mean, here in the suburb of Maple Grove, right in the middle of the city, there's a giant fucking windmill, and it's ugly. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And people
they are ugly.
And people should take that shit into consideration. I mean, you got to live with it for 100 years, you know.
Okay, let's take a look at the companies that put these windmills up, that manufacture them.
Good idea.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. They are subsidized by the American taxpayer.
Right, that's correct. They could not make a profit on their own. They couldn't.
That's correct. And these companies, most of these companies originate overseas.
Yeah.
So the money, the taxpayer money, is going to overseas companies to put up these windmills on the false narrative that there is climate change.
Right.
Since the beginning, since this earth was created, there has been climate change. Both ways.
Right.
Up and down.
Right.
Okay. Climate change is not a big thing. It happens all the time.
Well, my definition or my distinction is that people have to make a distinction between global warming and climate change. When people say climate change, they're assuming human caused climate change. And yeah, global warming is very real. The world is warming up. But a study just came out 2 weeks ago that said that human activity has nothing to do with it. It's the freaking sun. And that's what I've been for years.
That's correct. And why do we have more ice at the polar caps than we've had in 30 years?
That's because the warming and cooling is
according to Al Gore, it was all supposed to be gone.
Yeah, and Al Gore's a fucking idiot. It's like I have no problem saying that at all. He's stupid.
Yeah. So the global warming thing is Trump is absolutely right. It's a freaking hoax.
It is
to get to take people's money.
Yeah,
it's exactly what it is.
It's the biggest grift that's ever been prodded on the American public.
Well, let's look at the two biggest oil spills, one in Alaska and the one in the Gulf. Okay, that we've had over the last 30, 40 years. All right. both times we were told that this is a disaster, that it's going to kill fish and aquatic life for thousands of miles and for hundreds of years. It will not be solved. Okay.
Yeah.
Both times within 3 years, they could not detect any uh, resonance from it, anything that still lingers from these oil spills. Mother Nature takes care of that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so so they lie to us constantly, and I think people are finally starting to wake up to the fact that your government has been lying to you, stealing from you, cheating from you for years,
Yeah.
and people are finally tired of it.
Right. And you know what that gets back to? Taxes. Because the thing is, okay, I think most people agree that it takes a certain amount of money to build roads and stuff like that, you know.
Sure,
But
sure.
the problem is, we shovel in a more enormous amount of money to both state and federal taxes, and we all know half of it is wasted. At least half of it. You might as well just flush it down the toilet. You know,
Right.
I mean, there's no we could have 10 we could pay 10% federal income tax here and the government will run perfectly fine. It's just that
And
people want to get their grift.
what was the reason that Trump got impeached the very first time? Is because he threatened to expose Ukraine.
Yeah.
And all of the billions of dollars that the US taxpayers have sent to Ukraine, what was going to be the end result? Why was Trump such a threat? Because the Democrats weren't going to get that money back, filtered back to
That's
them
right.
after it was
That's
laundered.
correct. Right. Right. So
That's what they were so afraid of.
they're afraid of Trump because he could actually stop this. And the thing is, not just most of the Democrats are on board with this, and at least half the Republicans. You know, the Rhino Republicans,
Mhm.
they're on the grift too. So
Oh, absolutely.
you have three-quarters of the government that's basically there to collect more, get more money. You know, that's there. They don't care about anything at all. You know, and so
Yeah.
now you got a guy who's actually trying to stop this shit. And no, I mean that's one of the reasons they hate him. Although I have to say, I'm still really fascinated by people who just hate Trump just because they just don't like him.
They don't like they
they
don't
don't
like the things he says or tweets.
right. Yeah, they don't. Yeah,
You know, if you watch him at all, you'll see him, and he'll make little side jokes. You know, I mean, he's a down to earth person. He'll be in a conversation with world leaders, and he'll make a joke. You know, ha ha. They'll go on. They'll all laugh. You know, well then the news media takes that comment and makes it sound like it is the end of the world, or that he was serious, or whatever. And it just, he made a joke a couple of days ago in this big meeting about, well, maybe if he gets this stopped, he'll get into heaven,
yeah.
and he kind of chuckled. And every news outlet going, oh, well, he thinks he's going to get into heaven. He just, I,
But
come on, people, it was a joke.
Larry, part of the problem here is this isn't entirely politics. I've dealt with these people my entire life. I mean, I was screwed by a reporter when I was 12 years old. I'm not kidding. I will not tell the story
Well, I
here.
know. I have too.
But the one thing I know about these people after dealing with them for 50 years, they're amazingly humorless. It's like it's not just it's a certain personality that goes into this job, and those people are really freaking humorless. I don't quite understand where they're coming from or whatever, but that's the people that are attracted to that profession. So it's not even just a matter of the fact they hate Trump. They don't get the jokes. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't understand that it's supposed to be funny.
Well, 40 years ago, when I was dealing with the media on a project, and I found out real quick, these reporters have they set the parameters of the story and the storyline that they want to prove, and then they'll come out and interview you, and then they'll take bits and pieces of that and twist it around to make it fit the direction that they want it to go.
Oh yeah, right.
They're not reporters.
No.
A reporter is someone who goes out sees what's happening and come back and tells the truth about it.
That's right.
The
The
news
vast
media
majority of them have an
are not
agenda.
that way.
The vast majority have an agenda before they start. They know what the show is
Exactly.
gonna
They
be,
do.
and then they go out and find the information to fit what they want say.
That's right.
It's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So, I like to end these talks, and this is really amazing. Am I just getting old, Larry? But when I emailed you to remind you about today, about the fact it seems like it was a month ago that we did this, and it seems like it was last week.
Yeah, I know.
So the last thing I like to do is I always go through the Bigfoot Field Research Organization reports to see what's going on. So I
Yeah,
don't know if
yeah.
you saw that for August, not only they got a large number of reports, they're like all Class A, which is like the best sightings, and
Right,
also I couldn't pull out one because they were all they were either people who saw multiple Bigfoots or multiple people that saw a Bigfoot or together.
right,
You know?
right.
It's like
I'm working on one right now. Some people from Michigan were on vacation in Kansas in June, and they left their hotel room and were pulling out of the parking lot and saw one walking between two buildings, took a picture of it, sent it to me. It's, they were out in Dodge City, Kansas
yeah,
when they saw this. The July, I think I told you about the one on the 4th of July that people right here 20 miles from me saw one at Camp Crowder down by Neosho. Yeah, these things, people don't understand that these things are seen by people in the United States every day. There are sightings happen every day. I get on the investigator side of the BFRO. Okay, we are at over 80,000 reports right now.
yeah,
Very small number are hoaxes.
yeah,
Very small, 2 or 3%. Then there comes those that they hear these things, and I can guarantee you that if you've ever heard one, you will know what it sounds like. Okay, there's no question. There's nothing in the
right.
woods that sounds like that. Okay, those are the Class B sightings or Class B reports. People that heard them or found a track or found hair or found a stick structure or whatever. The Class A's are sightings, and there's a substantial number of sightings. People see these things all the time, but it's not reported on the news media. And we've discussed the reasons why the government wants to keep these things hid, which they've got a number of bodies that they've gathered over the years. So there's a large number. I can say this: there are a large number of good, clear photographs and videos, but they're being held back until such time as it's proper to come out. It may not be too long. That's what I'm being told by people in the know. Anyway, uh,
Well,
just
hold it.
suffice it to
I'm going to
say,
ask you about that because in that sense, the Bigfoot uh, uh, phenomena and the UFO phenomena are the same. Like they're both being held back for basically financial interests, right?
I well, yeah, and the aliens, the UFOs and aliens thing is not going to have the financial impact on the country that
That's
discloses
correct.
Bigfoot.
I agree. You're
Um,
right.
Bigfoot as a real and flesh and blood animal will have a major impact on our economy
Yeah,
uh, once it's admitted to. So that's why there's a lot of hesitation on to actually come
yeah. The
forward.
UFO thing will be indirect, but the Bigfoot thing is direct. I mean, yeah.
Correct. Correct.
If these things are declared an endangered species, basically logging in America is going to come to a standstill.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So, won't we solve that problem? So,
Yeah.
but I do
Yeah.
have to ask you though, what? So at that point, what would change about this? Why do you think there would be some sort of Bigfoot disclosure now?
It's just the I'm kind of on the edges of people in the center of the Bigfoot research industry, and with Matt Moneymaker being one of those, and I think some of the things that Matt has said, and so I mean it's going to be hard with all of the information that is now out there with the sightings being more and more prevalent.
Oh, you think it's
It's going
gonna
to be
be
hard to
yeah, it's gonna
keep
be
it down.
undeniable at some point is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
it is.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I mean, and maybe this is a rhetorical question, but I'm gonna ask you anyway. Do you think people are seeing more Bigfoot because they're being pushed out of their natural habitat because of encroaching civilization? Is
No,
that no?
no,
Oh, interesting.
no. There's more forested acres in the United States now than there was 200 years ago.
Oh, that's really fascinating. I wouldn't have known that. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
there's more. Well, from 1800s when people were moving across the country, okay, what were they building their houses out of? Lumber. They were
Yeah,
cutting trees. Okay,
right,
by the mid 1800s, they there were very little trees. Most of the forested areas were gone because they'd been harvested for lumber,
right.
for building houses, homes, boats, all kinds of things. So we've now had a huge growth in the last 75 to 100 years of forested area in the United States. Plus, now we've also had since the 50s, we've had a huge number in the deduction of the number of people actually going into the woods for hunting for sport, for deer hunting, things like that. We've still got a lot of them, okay, but compared to what it was in the 40s and 50s when they were hunting for food all the
Right.
time,
People were
okay,
actually doing it for food, right? Yeah,
correct. Now, on top of that, your deer population was almost gone. You had almost no white-tailed deer in the eastern half of the country. I know here in Missouri, back in the '60s, if somebody in the neighborhood saw a deer, then it was news. Everybody was on the phone calling everybody else. Hey, I saw a deer today. Okay,
uh-huh.
very rare sighting. Well, compare that to today when I can go to the same patch of woods and there's 40 or 50 of them in there. All right. That's just, it's huge. The deer
I'm sorry.
herds,
Um,
which is the Bigfoot's main source of food.
oh, I didn't know. Okay.
Yes. Deer are the Bigfoot's main source of food. I mean, they're omnivorous. They'll eat, lots of different things. Um, but yes, deer are the primary food source. So, with the huge explosion in the number of deer, with more forested areas now than we've ever had, plus the fact that there are fewer people going into those forested areas than there ever has been, it's the population of Bigfoot has grown just like the deer population. Okay. So, as more and more people are starting to see these and they're becoming less and less hesitant about reporting them, now you're seeing the explosion of reports.
Interesting. That makes a lot of sense too. I totally
Well,
buy.
and if you look at go on the BFRO map, when you get to looking at numbers of sightings per capita by state, and Northeast Ohio is one of the highest number of sightings
Yeah,
per capita
I'm
of any
aware of
state.
that. Right.
That's not the Pacific Northwest that
Oh, it is
everybody thinks that things are in.
right.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. Well, you just reminded me of the joke that oh God, I'm not gonna forget his name. The Ron White, the comedian, used to tell about the so I'm gonna tell it about the
Okay.
fact that he didn't his brother-in-law invited him to go deer hunting one morning. He said he didn't want to go because he didn't want to wake up that early. And they got back, and his brother-in-law said, "Man, you missed a spectacle." He said, I got my rifle. I fired a bullet at 1,700 miles an hour and shot it right between the eyes. Ron says, "Wow, that's a really elusive creature. I killed one with my van going 55 miles an hour."
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's
I
true.
don't know. I just always thought that was pretty funny.
That is pretty funny. That
Oh
is pretty
man, hey,
funny.
it's nice talking to you. Always,
You
you know
too.
that. So what do you got plans for Labor Day for the coming week? Or are you taking
Nope,
off? Or
I don't. Just we're going to be here. The grandkids will come over and just enjoy them, and that's about it.
I know I don't have to say this anymore in America, but I'm glad you're paying attention to your grandkids. That's a good thing. You know.
Well, I've got a grandson who just turned 8. I spend a lot of time with him. I take him places with me, and people look at him and listen to him talk, and they look at me and they say, "We have never seen a, a boy his age that talks like an adult. That just And
Yeah.
so talking to him, getting them to think, and he drives my Kawasaki mule all over the place. Learned to back a trailer a couple of weeks ago. Just turned 8. He'll be out hunting his 3rd deer this year. 3 years. He just turned 8 now. This is
Yeah.
his 3rd deer. He's already got him picked out on the trail cam. Knows which one he's going after. He's 3rd turkey this year.
That's
Boy
fantastic,
catches
man.
catfish every day.
Yeah.
So he's just, good kid.
They're already talking about Barron Trump for president for 2038.
I don't know whether Barron has a desire to put up with the crap that his dad does or not. It
Does
takes
anybody?
it takes a certain type of person to be able to withstand all the crap
That's right.
that
It
gets thrown
does.
at him.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, man, you have a nice Labor Day holiday.
You too. Take care. Everybody have a great time out there. Be
Thanks.
safe.
Thank you, Larry. We'll talk
Thank
to
you.
you. You take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
It's Larry Newman from Joplin, Missouri. Always like talking to him. He comes on once a month. And it's really true. I mean, it's just getting old, but it seems like it was last week. It's been a whole month. But yeah, I don't know. I'm talking to Don Zorro every once in a while too. He hasn't been on for a couple months now because he hasn't been able to. Too much stuff going on. But same thing with him. It's like it seems like time passes so quickly, and it's really, I mean, it's really true. Well, I mean, I suppose it's because it's relative. The older you get, we've had more time behind you. So therefore, like another year isn't that big a deal. When I look back in my 20s, when I thought, oh my God, a whole year. It's like, oh, Jesus, you know? Yeah. Well, anyway, thanks for Larry for putting up with us and entertaining us with this conversation. So Cindy Adams, I don't know if you know her. She's written a column for the New York Post for like 50 years. I mean, actually, I think the woman's in her 80s now, if I'm right. And she wrote a column yesterday in the New York Post about the fact, and I was talking to my friend about this at lunch. And I was talking about, we had lunch at Lake Minnetonka today, about the fact that her column was about the fact, and I've talked about this somebody before. No one goes out anymore in America. We don't leave the house anymore. You got anything can be delivered to you. Any movie you want to see, you can watch on your big screen TV, which are amazingly stupidly cheap. I mean, my friend of mine bought a 55-inch television, a smart TV with the Roku built in for $230. They're $230 at Target. Like, what? Really? And do you know how the cathode ray televisions we used to have before pre 2000? Do you know how expensive they were? I mean, unbelievable. One of my favorite television shows is Mad Men, and there's a episode in Mad Men, and I think it's set in 1965, where Don Draper, for his penthouse apartment, he buys a color television, which were relatively novel then. That was when they were first really starting to. And I actually in the episode they mentioned the actual model number of that TV RCA, and I looked it up, and it was $499 in 1965 money, which would be about $4,000 today. And this television is not large. It's basically about the size of a computer monitor, right? It's a tube, one of these stupid things. It's like these televisions weren't big, and they cost a fortune. And now you can get one basically the size of your wall for like $500. It's mind-bogglingly stupid. But yeah, you don't have to leave the house to see a movie. So Sal Litvak was on last night. We're talking about his movie Guns N' Moses, and so that's going to streaming in October. And well, he said something that I never thought of before. And my friend at lunch day, he disagreed with me on this, but I'm going to still put out my opinion here because that's what I do. About the fact that if you have a television big enough and you're sitting close enough, it's basically the same visual ratio of a giant screen at a theater. And I maintain that. But what Sal brought up last night about the fact, well, that's not the only reason you want to go to the theater. The other half of the thrill is watching the movie with a bunch of other people. And he's got a point there. That's true. So Guns N' Moses is basically an action thriller. And so he said, you really kind of it really helps to see with a bunch of other people to see how you all collectively react. And he's got a point, but anyway, Cindy Adams' point is that we don't, I order all sorts of stuff from Amazon. My wife does too. Now, I still do all our grocery shopping, and I won't buy clothes online, but I know there's a lot of people with no problem with that. And actually, speaking of that, one of the other things I had on the rundown for tonight about the fact that the Gen Z has basically made leggings. The leggings thing. They're dead. They don't want to wear them anymore. And which the amazing thing is because I've my 30-year-old nephew and I have talked about the fact that basically leggings on women, like Lululemon stuff, it's basically you're naked. It's like those pants are so form fitting that you can basically see every crevice of your body, and there's certain crevices that maybe you shouldn't see. But yeah, Gen Z's done with that. They don't want to wear the leggings anymore, and I kind of don't blame them. That's something I'm not looking for, because okay, you can say as I'm a man, I'm pervert, but I think it's kind of gross. I don't want to see the crevices of your body. I really don't. I don't care how good or bad your body is. I don't want to see it. Unless you're going to take your pants off. That's another thing. That's a whole different deal. If you're out in public, I don't want to look at that stuff. I just don't. And so they're done with it. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of people who still will buy clothing online, and I don't understand it. I won't do it. Same with grocery shopping. My wife's cousin, she orders all her groceries from like the Super Target store. She tell you go online, you push the buttons, you tell them exactly what you want, and they bring it. God bless. And I think it's like $5. What does it charge? $5 or something like that. It's like God. Now I do have to comment on this though too. Now Trump has had in 6 months has had a lot of success, but one thing I think they're exaggerating that isn't true, and apparently there are the statistics that came out, and I got this from my boyfriend Bill O'Reilly, believe it or not. Because he said this and he confirmed me doing the grocery shopping for our family that grocery prices are not coming down. Matter of fact, everything they're still going up. And I was glad to see O'Reilly say this. He said his staff, and these are grand averages over the entire country. But yeah, as a general rule, and I've noticed this too here in town, grocery prices are still going up. And I do not believe this thing Kamala Harris said about the fact that it's price gouging. That's bullshit because what Harris doesn't understand is there's competition. So, you're not going to raise your prices if your competitor doesn't, because word gets out really, really quick. So no, it's not price gouging. So, but O'Reilly was saying in many instances, there's all sorts of like quote unquote excuses, like the price of eggs is still pretty high. It's not as high as it was, but it's still pretty high. And supposedly that's because of the avian flu. And there's all sorts of stuff like that. And I don't know if that stuff's true or not. But at any rate, and O'Reilly's point was, and he's a Trump supporter, but O'Reilly's point is that at the end of the day, Trump is going to be measured on this. So he's only 6 months in, but still, at some point, he is going to be either prices are going to come down or they're not, and he will be measured primarily on that. And O'Reilly's right, he will. Now you could say he has 3 years to go, but in some ways he's only got 1 year because of the midterms. But yeah, so anyway, I was interested to see. I can't say I was glad, I was interested to see that O'Reilly staff compiled those stats because that's what I had noticed anecdotally just doing the shopping for my family and myself. So there's this interstellar object called 3I Atlas that's entered the solar system. It's the third confirmed body that's entered the solar system from outside of the solar system. And Avi Loeb, the Harvard astronomer, he has been saying for quite a while there's a good possibility this is an artificial structure, and they have more proof of this week because it appears now that NASA's classified this thing as a comet because of the amount of light it's putting off. But Loeb is saying they've been analyzing the light, and it appears that the light is coming from inside the object. In other words, the object is generating the light. And if that's the case, that means it's artificial. Now, this is going to be, I don't know what's going on here. The other thing is the Loeb's other proof, if you want to call it that, or evidence, is that this thing is making a really, really coincidental flyby of all the major planets in our solar system. It's like you could, if you want to do like a survey of our solar system, you couldn't come up with like a better path for this thing. It's going close to basically all the major planets at some point. And he said it's way beyond chance that this would happen. So that's kind of interesting. And then the other thing that happened, the Daily Star in the UK is reporting the fact that some scientists are now saying that the radar we use in commercial aviation, like the radar that every single major airport uses, is collectively enough to send a signal out into space so that it would be that if you were on another planet and you were of technologically advanced, you would know that we were technologically advanced by looking at that. And because that stuff just goes out into space and goes on forever, Now I've talked about this before with a new James Webb telescope. We have an effective range of 120 light years around the Earth that we can actually penetrate now and actually get data from, which is way, way more than before. And I don't know if I have to tell you this. I think you may know this. Before 2000, actually I think the year's 2003, I'm pulling that on my butt, but before 2000, we were aware of no other planets anywhere in the universe outside of our solar system. Now we're aware of thousands. They find like dozens every day. It's unbelievable. And that's partly because of our increased astronomical capability, and partly because we know how to filter this data too. And some of it's from radio telescopes where you're not actually literally looking at something, that you can actually analyze data. And from analyzing data, we know now there's an average in the Milky Way. There's an average of one planet for every star. Now, that doesn't mean every star has a planet. It means that some have solar systems, some don't. But yeah, it averages out to one planet per star. And if I'm right, there's 100 million stars in the Milky Way. That's just our galaxy. That does not. These figures are mind-boggling when you stop and think about it. But the point is that if you're within, that's 120 light years is a good benchmark, and there's thousands of planets in that range. That if you are running a technological situation or civilization on one of those planets, that you could easily tell that we are too, just because our radar, because it goes out into space and never stops, and there's plenty of it. That's the thing. There's plenty of airports on the planet that are generating. I think I heard collectively that the signal it's ungodly amount of radio information collectively, but I don't know if it goes out collectively. And then finally, too, a guy named, and I forgot to write this guy's name down. I don't believe I forgot this. Hold on a second. Let me look. His name's Jonathan Kaplan, and his claim to fame is he's the Boris Becker, the tennis player from the UK. He was his lawyer, and I didn't know this, that Becker was actually arrested for tax fraud. I was not aware of that. I don't know how old Becker is now. His heyday online was like 20 years ago or something like that. Not online. I mean, in the tennis world. But anyway, this Kaplan guy, he is coming out with a book that he said he has spent 20 years researching about the fact that all the governments on the planet know about all this alien stuff. So this is the first time he's ever been involved in it at all. But he said he spent 20 years researching this book. I don't know, that'll be interesting too. And then finally, Whitley Strieber, our friend Whitley Strieber, the probably most famous alien abductee in America right now. He has addressed, the article came out, and what was it? Oh yeah, latest UFO sightings.net. They wrote an article called "Why Do Aliens Smell So Bad?" And I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but this has been a common theme among people who say they've encountered these beings, especially the gray beings. Apparently, the smell is absolutely awful. The rumor has been that at Roswell, when they actually brought the bodies in to the airfield and started to autopsy them, people fainted because the smell was so bad. They literally could not handle it. And that's been the rumor about these things for years, that they smell absolutely awful. And one of the reasons that's been proposed, that the reason they smell so bad, is because they actually defecate through their skin. So you take a dump, right? Well, they don't do that. They're constantly evaporating the waste of their bodies through their skin, supposedly. And because of that, they smell. And apparently, they must be immune to it, or whatever. But to us, they smell absolutely awful. And so they're shitting through their skin, folks. That's what they're doing. I can say that because we're not on the radio. And I tell you what, with that, we'll leave it. That's a good place to go on vacation, isn't it? Don't you think? Want to thank Larry Newman again. I want to thank Ed Sal Litvak on Tuesday. And who was our guest on Monday? Do I even remember? I don't remember. It all blends together. So by the time we come back on September 2nd, we'll have all of September booked. So that's turning out really well right now. I gotta say, for years we've been batting way above our pay grade in terms of the guests we get on the show, and I want to thank people for doing that too. That's pretty cool. I want to thank Kimberly for helping out here. She's been really, really good at booking the show, and I appreciate her help very much. So we're off till September 2nd. So you guys have a good Labor Day. Yeah, I don't know if a lot of people take the last week of August off. I know that it's very common. We're going to be running best of episodes every Monday through Friday. So I think I counted was let me see, 5, 6, 7. We'll be running 8 of them. And we run them now on Fridays too, even though we've never broadcast on Fridays. We have never done that, but we run them on Fridays anyway. So we got 2 coming up this week. I don't know what they're going to be yet. I'm going to sit down tomorrow and actually decide that. We got 2 coming up on Thursday and Friday, and then all next week, Monday through Friday, and then Monday on Labor Day too. I got to itch my nose. So we're around. And, I was always hesitant to do that because I thought, well, that's kind of stupid because, you can watch the episodes on demand. Well, why would we run one in our usual live time slot? But we do it and people watch. So God, I think people just, there's a lot of people on YouTube and Rumble that just tune in, and Twitch. They just want to literally see what's on. It's like TV, So we're running an episode and they watch. I think that's the way it works. So it's actually worked out okay. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good Labor Day. I really appreciate you watching the show and listening. Thank you very much. And thanks again to Larry Newman. We'll see you again on Tuesday, September 2nd. Good night, Uncle Donnie, wherever you are. And good night to you, wherever you may be. Thanks, folks. You have a nice holiday. We'll see you on September 2nd. Take care.